Welcome in, everybody, to 20XX League Week 2. We've got some exciting matches for you today, and we cannot wait to get started. My name is Shiny Hunter Zach, and I'll be on the mic today for the first couple matches with a man who quite literally needs no introduction. It is the illustrious K-Bot. Coming back to the microphone, K-Bot, how are you today?
I'm doing great. You don't need all the hype up, all right? That's all right. We're good with that. No, that's all right. I'm excited to be back, I will say. I haven't gotten the chance to watch much Splatoon as of late. I've been so busy with moves and with other games and everything going on. But I'm really excited that we get the chance to cast this and bring this all to you as we crown the next generation of Splatoon champions in this kind of league format, Zach. It's a unique kind of opportunity for these teams to set themselves apart, show us their identities, and really hone that in over the course of a multiple week-long season. In this case, it'll be about a month long, and we're about halfway through it, or we will be by the end of the day today.
Yeah, your background is gorgeous, your fan is on high, and you look ready to go here. So as you can see on your screen, Grogro and Henlo Fan Club is what we're going to be starting with, and K-Bot alluded to some of the rules and restrictions around the tournament. We've also got a counter-picking element in play. Of course, we've got to start somewhere. It looks like based on the screen, going to be going to Tower Control on Inkblot Art Academy, a Splatoon competitive tournament staple. And of course, a map list from which teams are able to choose a counter pick. No Rainmaker, just zones, TC, and Clam, and no restriction on the mode itself, but you cannot go to the same map twice. But enough talking, let's get into game number one here between these two teams, Henlo Fan Club and Grogro.
Should be a lot of fun, of course. Gru is this combination of players that's probably haven't played together all that much. Obviously, Dow are playing together quite a bit, but all names you're familiar with. Then, of course, Henlo Fan Club is this next iteration of like this Sonder, Hypernova kind of pickup style. I've got some familiarity with their players, and it'll be interesting to watch these two teams progress over the course of this set. You know, Gru is one of these teams that has a lot of flexibility and depth to their weapon pools because they've been playing the game at such a high level for so long. I'm really seeing who's going to be on this pencil. Right now, it's Biscuit, and it was last week, but they have the option to switch it over to Gray depending on how things go.
Yeah, K-Bot, I know you did some preparation for this, and right after that, a major patch came out. But based on your interpretation and what we've seen in the meta so far in this match, not much has changed. We're still seeing the 52, still have the pencil on both sides, and we're seeing a blaster on both sides as well, although both are down currently. Just one left alive for Gru there. Is Kyo able to get one, but goes down as well as Synapse gets the Ink Rail ready to go in the tower. Following along as Henlo Fan Club takes the lead, one of two fan club teams that we'll see today, along with that Kid Fan Club. Some specials coming out here. We've got the Killer Whale 5.1, and as you mentioned, Biscuit has been on this pencil. We've not seen a change to any other tactical or weapon. Still seems like the premier choice.
Yeah, and you see kind of the game plan here from Henlo Fan Club presenting itself. I really like Len's pick in general of this vanilla blaster, because the second that you've got that big bubbler and you can get it set up, you have bought so much space for the team. Unfortunately, in this case, it doesn't quite pan out for them. They're not able to get themselves fully established up there on the bat side. The push will fall apart after about the second checkpoint, but even still, getting through the second checkpoint here about 2 minutes into the game gives them plenty of time to continue chipping that away. Now it's a matter of whether or not they're going to be able to hold on defense against an offensive threat in this duo of Obito and Kyo.
Yeah, and two important points that I'm noticing, they had pretty good map control of mid. Grogro did was they were getting the tower back from the other side, and they used 3 out of their 4 specials right out of the gate. So really making sure that Henlo Fan Club was locked sort of back in their plat, but it also gave Henlo Fan Club a chance to retaliate. So they had a couple specials coming out themselves, including once again that Killer Whale 5.1 from the 52 gal. The other point, you mentioned blasters. Range Blaster versus CRB has become an interesting choice between teams. Dat Kid notably on Dat Kid Fan Club favoring the CRB, but it's been almost exclusively the Range Blaster here from Gray, giving you just that little bit of damage if you can get somebody with the actual wave coming out of it, but also spotting anybody that's sort of within that perimeter. So throwing it just under where the flat area is to see if anybody was about to drop down.
Well, and apparently in talking with a lot of higher level players that are preferring that vanilla range blaster right now, it seems like they're not even using the Wavebreaker special for the Wavebreaker special itself. They're more using it to get the extra refill on the ink tank, keep the pressure alive and moving forward for the team. As you see Gray throw that one down and attempt to move forward with it. Does look like Rugu's going to be able to take the lead back here, but now Len's starting to come on back up. We'll find one against Biscuit. Now this 3-down situation will force Oviedo away as the last one for Rugu. Defense holds. Of course, the lead exchanges hands, but you see the power there of Gray being able to establish himself, go on further forward, and hope to get a couple of picks, open up that space, and it's enough to swing the lead, but now with 90 seconds left, Hemlo Fan Club's on the offensive.
Yeah, well, in power to both of these teams. I mean, they've both passed the halfway mark with about a minute and a half left to go. And one thing that I've sort of fixated on recently as we see a blaster duel there is when folks are jumping out either back to spawn or to a teammate. And it seems like even though most players are running stealth jump still, they are favoring enough quick super jump to get out to a teammate when they feel, especially for a weapon like a blaster that can run out of ink so quickly and are in a really rough position. If they do, they jump over to a teammate and are able to get out safely. So it looks like, back to a neutral state with just under a minute left. 38 the score to beat for Grogro here, but Hemlo Fan Club looks to be the next to sort of press forward here. Kyo, the only one with a special online. We'll wait to see when they opt to pop it. No picks yet, and that's allowed Hemlo Fan Club as well to get some specials online. Might be trying to opt for a lead taking push here.
Zuka doesn't get anything done out of Henlo, though, and now this Wavebreaker's down while Len has established themselves. There's not much else to follow up off of it from the Henlo Fan Club, and a good defense overall from Grugru. Most importantly, avoiding the heavy engage of that Inkzuka. Now, 20 seconds left to go here, and Henlo Fan Club has to scramble to regroup, get those specials back online, and even step foot on the tower in the middle of the map here, which is largely purple, but it looks like Grugru's backing away, waiting for Henlo Fan Club to walk into their welcoming arms.
Yeah, and not so welcoming they are. Look at this. A couple already taken down. Lexi just barely able to get on the tower, and Synapse gets caught in the blast as well. It's just one player from Grogro that needs to step on the tower to end things, but not yet. The jumps are still coming in, and Lexi's already back. Yo, sharking around on the tower, but that's not going to last for very long as they're able to clamber atop it and finish this one off. Very nice attempt there at the end of things in a quite back and forth first match, but it will be Grogro claiming the first one in this match.
The interesting thing, Zach, is tower control on Inkblood Art Academy used to be that very snowball-heavy map, right? The second that one team gets up on the plat, starts pushing through bats, they can really end the game based off of some of those pushes. But now it feels like we're in more of this meta where we're seeing a lot of those ranged weapons come out, and it's a lot harder to get up to bats, establish yourself, and move from there. Instead, you have the opportunity for your range blaster to sit back from afar, get a couple picks in. You've got something like those triple ink strikes, right, out of Kyo as well that can help assist in that area, and there's just a little bit more difficulty of actually pushing the pedal to the metal and going all out. Really, we only saw two main pushes there, and it was the team that just barely squeaked away enough points that comes out on top in the end.
Yeah, and that does seem sort of like the migration of the meta, where it used to be sort of three very aggressive short-range weapons and one pencil or one other very long-range weapon. The heavy edit made its case to try and break through into the meta, but never really circumvented or overcame what the pencil has still been able to provide, even after it was featured in the last patch. But now we're seeing some other things come out. Some teams like Zenith, for example, she's opted for the Wiper. We've seen the, foil squeezer come out as another option. Of course, these range blasters have been quite popular. So, a slot that gets taken over now by a sort of medium range weapon and gives you some of those options to help to poke alongside your pencils. So looking at where this one might get counterpicked into, looking at the week 1 match from Grugru there, they won on zones 3 times and tower control once. We've already seen them win on tower control once today and lost on Clam Blitz twice. So the natural thinking by that statistic would be to counterpick them into Clam Blitz. Of course, options are limited. There are twice as many zones maps in the pool as there are for both PC and Clam Blitz. So your options are limited, but if that is where you want to take things, if you think you have a great option there, that's certainly one way that you can take it. But it looks like zones still being the perennial favorite mode of most competitive players has been chosen, and we're going, K-Bot, to Robo Ramen.
I don't know about this pick from Henlo Fan Club. I'll keep it a buck here, Zach. As you mentioned, of course, Kruger seemed to struggle last week versus Moonlight. on Clam Blitz. I think here Henlo Fan Club can make the case just as well that they can do as good on Clams. And I don't think you want to play this team of incredibly talented players who are used to a pickup culture even around some of these zones games. Obviously, it's a new map. We'll see whether or not that plays a role, but interesting pick here. I really do think the key is going to be, can Len get established? I loved it when Henlo was going over to the Neo Splash in some of their qualifier games to enable that blaster player to get in off of the triple ink strike screen that you're able to set up. Now, of course, going for this Trizooka for a little bit more engage. Let's see whether or not it pans out here and whether or not Len's actually able to get in a good position for this vanilla blaster.
Yeah, you make the great point that this is almost like an all-star team versus sort of an up-and-coming consistent roster. So I'm excited to see how this one shakes out. Len already getting in the middle of things and able to take out the pencil on the side of Brugger, but having to back off, not backing far out enough as they get taken down. So that's going to be basically a pick on each side. Taken over first by Henlo Fan Club. Ray going to get one here as well, but will fall as two, and Synapse having to back off just a little bit. You see how much on this map is dedicated, especially on zones, to just the large zone in the middle. It's quite a, almost Tetris piece-shaped rectangular zone, and the ramps right behind it. You don't see too much happening in the other areas, so it's kind of a large map truncated into this very small area, making these specials like the Inkzooka we just saw very effective.
Very effective, but Henlo not able to find anything there either, and it probably means the counteroffensive is going to come right back at them. Obito fires his, Gray starts to move forward, realizing that there's an opportunity now, but he's going to get picked off by Lexi, holding it down on this Sniper Runner on the back side. So maybe not the strongest hold here from Brugger, but even still, they're committing resources to keep on going forward. You see Kyo poking up on this left side as well, making it so that this Henlo Fan Club team doesn't feel incredibly comfortable. And now, once again, they're two down. Hold's still going to be for Brugger here, and there is not much going the way of Henlo Fan Club right now. They need to regroup and recollect themselves before making a push.
And that's exactly what I meant by those quick jumps. Kyo unabashedly getting as close as he could to that Trizooka, not able to find anything, and recognizes that he needs to get out and almost immediately finds a teammate to jump to. So fantastic effort there. It's not going to be enough. They weren't able to get the picks that they desired. So the push to 29, still pretty fantastic, but it'll be Henlo Fan Club's time now to keep their ink on the zone. And the placement of these Trizookas always fascinates me as well, because sometimes they seem to throw it with reckless abandon just wherever their teammates might group up, versus somewhere that's a little bit over near either the cushion or pillow, or maybe behind a wall somewhere. So very interesting, because it can be like moth to a flame, trying to see if anybody will just go if it's out in the open to pick up that tactical or buff. And Henlo Fan Club, despite some resistance, including a tri-strike, able to keep the zone for now, but there's two members gone down already. Gray, not with the best painting weapon there, has to try and move up, loses the zone at the 32 mark, and that'll be good enough as Brugger takes it back over and retains the lead.
See how well they're able to do here, but to your point, the last thing I think you want to do is fire off these errant Trizookas, right? Just trying to find anything. Like you said, it feels almost like a Hail Mary when you do it sometimes, right? Like, please hit something, right? But at the end of the day, I think you really have to pick your targets hard, especially when you've got to get someone in, like Len on this big bubbler. They attempt to do so here, but they don't have the follow-up around it and the rest of the team moving forward. And Brugger's just going to continue poking at you with the extra range of this range blaster. Obito drops back, has this Trizooka lined up, looks for Len there, but you mentioned the super jump to get out. But even still, Brugger is still on top of this zone, and it is incredibly difficult to get them dislodged from this location.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the blaster, because that's something that's been very interesting in the meta. It kind of doesn't show up that often, and you rarely want to run more than one, but even on a mode that you wouldn't think it would be the best at, being splat zones, it really does give you a chance to set up on the zone, really make sure. We saw it placed literally behind the pillow or cushion there, right on top of the zone, allowing them free reign and to get the zone back while the rest of the team is able to push up. It also, of course, has that potential beacon, so you could jump to it if you so elected, but it looks like Henlo Fan Club not needing to use that functionality there in that fight. But Synapse probably wishes that they had it now. Not going to be able to do anything but come back from spawn. There's Gray, pushes forward as well alongside the tri-strike that's coming out. Gray seeing if they can get anything there. Pushes up as a I guess a rain of bombs comes down, multiple trying to take them out, and it will be Grogro getting rid of their entire penalty KO with an important pick there onto Len, and they have that wave breaker out. Kbot, you mentioned not really the focal point of the weapon, more so to get the ink back, but doing its job so far is Grogro holding on to the zone yet.
They're continuing to do this, but here's Len setting up that bubbler again, allowing for Henlo Fan Club to come forward, but they really need to pick a target all together as one team. They're trying to enter these 1v1 firefights with Grogro, which I really don't think is the right call when you're going up players as mechanically skilled, but Len seems to think otherwise going forward. Now tries to drop back against Obidozuka. That was dangerous, but gets out alive for now. Henlo Fan Club has got to try to find an opportunity to preserve their lives here. Kyo does have this triple ink strike at the ready, which could escort Gray in position. Here it goes, right on top of the zone now. Obido is right there on top of the zone, but we've got the members of Henlo Fan Club sitting back. They're pinning the zone, and they are going to end up taking this game away. I doubted the counter pick, but they're able to pull it out in the clutch moments, Zach.
Yeah, Henlo Fan Club showing their confidence in dealing with Grogro on a mode that they have not really lost on as of yet until this point. So a fantastic back and forth. Both matches very similar in that regard. Lots of back and forth trades, although this one, it felt like they held onto the zone for longer than they held onto the tower in game number 1. So tie set here guarantees that we're at least going to a game 5. And man, that last sort of 15 seconds or so, you painted pretty perfectly. We could see, based on the spectator cam, they had the sprinkler set up right up top, was doing some passive painting, was taken down eventually by the tri-strike, and Grogro with opportunities to come in. It seems like I was a little worried with Henlo Fan Club. They had the tactical buff maybe around the 25 to 20 second mark. I was worried that it would run out and they would have that sort of crucial buff gone from them right when they needed it to, but it allowed them actually to set up in the optimal places so that when overtime came, they were able to sort of stand their ground right behind the zone, not go anywhere. Even the shorter range weapons could contribute to the painting. And I think despite some very hard firefighting there by Grogro, that allowed them to retain just enough of the zone to slide the lead out from under Grogro.
Yeah, and I think at the very end there, right, firefight down at the end, actually Henlo Fan Club, by not aggressing, actually set themselves up for success there, keeping back and holding that paint down on top of the zone, because they realized in this composition fight, in the mismatch, they've got the painting advantage, right? You've got a 52 and a shot on your team versus a shot on the other team, and goes Slosher. After it drops those triple ink strikes, it's not going to be nearly as effective as another shooter, or of course the pencils on either side as well. So when you're able to take care of that, able to drop back, recognize the win condition is just paint the zone and keep it held onto for dear life, while Len goes to be a little bit more of the thorn in the side of the offense of Grogro trying to push back in. Well executed there, but now, of course, we're going to a Grogro counter pick. Where are they going to go, Zach? Say it with me. We're going to splat zones. Yeah.
I was going to say, I might test the commentator's curse and say, well, Grogro's only lost on Clam Blitz, Dat Kid a little bit, or Henlo more, commonly won on that mode. Maybe they'll test their luck and go to Clam Blitz. We'll see, but it likely is going to be coming back to zones. It's a perennial staple. It is a tournament favorite, and it provides the most options there, and they probably want to run it back. There's a huge element of competitiveness within the teammates that make up Grogro here, and I feel like they feel probably a bit slighted. But again, I found a new way to get a commentator's curse, because no, we're not going to splat zones after all. It's back to TC from game 1. This time for game 3, we're going over to maybe one of the more neutral maps in the game, that being Hagglefish Market.
But I think I see the logic here. I think Hagglefish, rather flat stage in general, something where a lot of this extra range from Gray especially can be advantageous, right? And in tower control, right, being able to sit back, just continually chip back at the tower, forces your opponent to try to make a move against you. We'll see just how aggressive Henlo Fan Club can be, or whether or not Grogro is going to be able to sit back and continue picking them off one by one.
Yeah, the other point to remember, Hagglefish is both in the pool for zones and tower control, but the same map cannot be repeated twice. So they have opted for TC, eliminating the possibility of zones to be played on this map in the future. And the compositions, not much changing here. We are seeing almost mirrored comps. We have the Slosher instead of the 52 and differing blasters here, but the actual player is not really changing much as both teams lose a player. It is going to be Grogro losing their pencil, so they're not going to have really that second Tactical, the first one placed just behind the zone as Lexi was able to do the same. They will fall, however, and Synapse able to try and push forward to see if they can take out Kyo. Kyo running for the hills, but it's not going to be far enough. The hills are alive, as they say, and they are out for blood here, or ink. And so Gray and Obito falling back in turn as Henlo Fan Club picking up the tower first.
And here comes Synapse, right? A player that maybe was in a little bit of a background in some of the earlier games, but in that case was able to take the independence presented with the 52 gal forward and take the fight to Gru while having that Tacticooler advantage. And it opens up the door for this first checkpoint to fall now for Henlo Fan Club. They're going to strike first. And while Gru was able to hold on and regain themselves here, now Synapse pops right back out between two suction bombs and finds a pick against Obito. Now once again charging forward. This time, though, Gray will be able to get the better of him. And Henlo Fan Club maybe a little bit too quick to the punch that time around. Gru says, let's slow down for a second. They're going to regain control of the middle of the map.
Yeah, many players, I feel like, would have that 1,000-yard stare when sitting right sandwiched in between two suction bombs, but they were able to sort of circumvent that, get in front, and get the two-shot splat that the 52 is known for here. Lexi set up on the high ground, seeing if they have the range to reach anybody, but they're going to have to back off as they're the last one remaining. It's going to be Gro getting to their first checkpoint here, and will clear it with ease as they'll face minimal to no resistance as Henlo. It took them a while to build up that Trizuka coming back from spawn, but they'll get Obito at least out of it. Another will fall, and Henlo will clamber atop the tower, stopping and marking the end of that push here for Gro, but not quite the lead. So Henlo Fan Club regrouping. Lexi smart enough to fall back as their team was 3 down. They look to be potentially in a similar situation if Henlo is not able to survive here. Kyo instead making use of that special, but Len will fall regardless. And so just as early as it stopped, Gro right back to action, and this time no first checkpoint to worry about.
Obito fires off a Trizuka. Looked like it was a little bit early, and now Kyo goes down off to a bomb. This push is going to get stopped at its tracks pretty quickly, despite Gray being able to move so far forward, thanks to a couple of early pickoffs there from the Henlo Fan Club, which was fantastic to see, and then able to group around the Squid advantage they have on the map. Well done there to hold on, but even still, Gru going to have the advantage right now, 51-52. This could not be tighter, Zach. Very reminiscent of Game 1, as both these teams are getting stopped at about the same point, but now Henlo Fan Club with another opportunity.
Yeah, you speak of reminiscence. These pushes kind of feel like deja vu to each other. They're slowly gaining more ground, and part of that is because they're not having to worry about that first checkpoint again, but it seems like both teams are just waiting for that Trizuka to come online and then are able to stop the push, but they didn't have it this time. The best they can do is Kyo's Tri-Strike, and Lexi not only able to dodge that, but also able to get the Tacticooler down, and Henlo's buff from it. Len also has the big bubble at the ready, so despite losing their 52, they've got quite a bit to work with here. Len, though, not enough range to get the picks there onto Kyo. Kyo having some of that respawn armor as well. Synapse will go down. Len will fall shortly after. Lexi yet again, the last one alive, but this time a lot was gained out of it as Henlo Fan Club with 1:20 left has 20 left on the scoreboard.
Well done to get that far down for the Henlo Fan Club here. And now once again putting Gru in a position where they have to find another push. The reality is they want to try to split apart Henlo Fan Club, try to get picks one by one, each locking each player into an individual firefight. I think if Henlo Fan Club sticks together, they're going to be able to come out on top, but already 2-down situation. Gray jumps away to stay alive. Kyo's going to move pretty far forward here, and this is a dangerous position now for Henlo Fan Club as Gru continues rushing forward, laying their blue ink down out in front of them. Checkpoint 2 now, but nobody's right on top of the towers. Everyone's pushed up towards that right side. It looks like Synapse was able to come out with that fight underneath that canopy. 30 seconds left to go, and still a 20-point gap with one checkpoint in the way. Gray and Obito both trying to find another engagement, and now it's another 2-down situation as they continue to find the picks. Here's the wave breaker out of Gray once again, setting it up there, trying to push some of these members of Henlo Fan Club around as Kyo comes up the right side as well and continues pushing forward. They're just holding on and finding the picks here or there where they need them, but time is quickly running out. Now it's the 3-down situation that we're finally looking for, and there's the wipeout. They'll take the game right as we hit overtime.
Masterclass there from K-Bot and from Gro as well. A very, yet again, back and forth game. I love the sort of ideology of the pendulum effect and these pushes getting closer and closer to the end every single time. It seems like both teams gained ground quite effectively, but that last push was something different. Lexi, not one of the last ones alive there. As you mentioned, K-Bot, Gray, the only survivor, and that's a weapon that can kind of afford to go down, doesn't solely rely on its special or majority rely on it, and they were able to make the best use of their specials. The one player that did go down from Grogro had the least impactful special of the bunch, and that was the Range Blaster, not getting to use the Wave Breaker, but they had the Tacticooler in the back. Did go down, but not before using the Tri-Strike. And of course, they had the Trizuka for that offensive edge as Henlo Fan Club was coming back from spawn. Not just that, they get the full wipe out there. It looked like it might have been a delayed one, but they get the last pick at just the right moment. And just as time expires, getting to 19, taking the lead and taking back control over this set as we prepare for Game 4.
And that's the thing, really, from Grugu there in that last push, is being able to endure the Tacticooler storm, right? As Henlo Fan Club continues throwing thing after thing at you while they're coming right back off the respawn after that Tacticooler charge, right? Being able to come right back into the fight, they continually are able to get picked off as Grugu continues to readjust and slowly keeps building up the pressure and maintaining their overall presence, even if one or two of those members went down. You pointed out the key factors there that allowed them to stay stable, and especially when Gray was back and Obito was firing even behind him with that Trizuka, suddenly the game was over. But now, of course, still an incredibly even match. So, Zach, I really think this one's going to come down to the team that is going to be able to keep their composure the most. And what do we know about Grugru? They've been in these high-level situations time and time and time again, and they will continue to be inevitable for the past, present, and future. I think we're still leading towards Grugru here, but we'll see whether or not Henlo Fan Club can surprise us.
Slides in the Splatfest analogy there, and we're going to Splat Zones. A pretty logical choice. I think maybe a fool's errand to try your luck on the third and final tower control map that was remaining, that being Mako Mart instead. Looks like they'll be going over to Splat Zones for this one, and it's where they won their first game, right? We questioned maybe the counter pick in Game 2 right before it happened. They were able to pull it out. All these games are going to be close. I think both teams know it for the most part. And as you mentioned, Grogro with the high-level experience, it's a team that is not only used to high level, but is used to playing with a bunch of different folks around the scene. They scrimmage a lot. They group up with different high-level players a lot. And as such, they learn and grow the ability to adapt to the people around them, and have found a pretty consistent composition. We're not seeing many compositional changes at all. Not that we really expected to that much, but it has given them sort of that drive and determination where I doubt nerves will play too much of a factor unless things get really close here from Henlo Fan Club. And taking a look at the composition, still much remaining unchanged as we get set for Game 4.
Much remaining unchanged. How about absolutely identical, Zach, as we continue to carry on? I'm curious to know whether or not Grugru's going to change anything up. If they think things are getting a little too close for comfort, maybe they'll try something else. But of course, we know these players are going to play what they know best. And already, Synapse goes a little bit too far forward, immediately gets taken down, and now taken down again, already down twice in the first 30 seconds of this match. Doesn't exactly bode well for Henlo Fan Club, but yet they're able to come away with what looks to be the first main hold of the zone, although as I say that, I should bite my tongue, as right back to it comes the purple ink.
Yeah, I'm always interested in someone like yourself, K-Bot, who has the perspective of a coach on, what you're seeing when you look at these things. And from what I'm seeing, sometimes when you have control of the zone, it can be optimal to just trade out and get picks. But there's also the considered factor of what weapon are you trading out with? Because some weapons, they don't really mind trading at all. They've got comeback, they've got the respawn, they love coming back. They get buffs from it. So they're not really worried about it, and they want to get the picks against those weapons that don't really love coming back. But here we're seeing, a bit of resistance from Henlo Fan Club, but they're not quite getting to the zone. They're trying to make use of it. Henlo trying to use that Trizuka to even paint on the zone or find anybody that might be sharking somewhere around the zone. The Killer Rail also coming out, and they're only able to get one out of it. Their whole team goes down. I don't even think they'll be able to scramble back for much of a fight.
Really doesn't feel like it, as Kyo's already moved far forward, gets Synapse behind the wall, now takes care of another. Kyo able to come up with what looked like a quad there at the end of that game, and will secure Grugru the victory. I think one of the other things, Zach, what was the reason why I gave Hagglefish over to a decent counter pick for Gru. Incredibly flat map. Range has the advantage. Range, I think, had the advantage there as well, and it was very difficult for Henlo Fan Club to fully break back in and reestablish themselves after Gru had already gotten themselves in there. I think that was part of it here, and that could have been one of those errant counter picks. We'll see now whether or not they decide to switch things up, whether or not they're seeing the same things that I am. But now, of course, we are on match point for Gru.
Yeah, regardless of the outcome of this match, this will be the final counter pick for Henlo Fan Club. So where do they go at this point? You know, if you wanted to go TC, there's only one option left, and that's Mako Mart or Clam Blitz. Everything basically untouched. None of the maps have been used. Umami is still one of the possibilities for splat zones, as is Mahi Mahi. So you have the ability to go to one of those places if you so desire. Mako Mart also there. So definitely some options for them to change over to. You know, I wonder if at this point you want to try Clam Blitz. It's something that up to this set point remains untested, and sometimes it's better knowing, even if you're ultimately not going to win the set, it's good for VOD purposes to have the experience of playing on all three available modes and saying, okay, here's where we can improve on this mode, and this mode. Whereas if you're not picking the Clam Blitz and you have all the options, you might be left wondering, and maybe even with a twinge of regret. But let's see where they opt to go here. And as far as, again, compositional changes, not expecting much. Going to zones this time, though, and it will be Umami Ruins. So that does inherently also eliminate one of the potential Clam Blitz maps if we were to go to a game 6 or 7.
We're not going to play this, Zach. I know that's wishful thinking. But, you know, in all reality, what I really wished Henlo Fan Club would have done was gone to Clam Blitz here on Umami Ruins. I think you take the gamble and you eliminate that map from the map pool in case they wanted to go back there. Instead, they're playing it on Splat Zones here. I expect Range will probably play a role. However, there's a chance that Henlo Fan Club can work around it, given the fact that there's not really a firm choke point around kind of this zone, right? There is a couple ways to get in, and it's a little more difficult to just lock somebody in their spawn in this map. I think there's a chance for Henlo Fan Club here, but of course, we'll have to see how this plays out and whether or not Gru is going to establish themselves like they did in the last one.
Yeah, it's a map mode combination I might describe as tumultuous, because you basically have this large divider in the middle of the stage itself. You can clamber atop it, of course. It doesn't have the greatest entry points. It's not all inkable on the walls or sides here, but it is circumventable. And somebody like Kyo, they might really like, you know, having the tri-strike here where you can affect both of the zones. This is one of the, you know, 2-zone maps in the game. It plays very differently to the 1-zone map here, and Gray able to, again, use that wave breaker to get the refresh, get the splat onto Henlo, but Len still alive here, just going down now to Biscuit, who's been very nice here on this pencil, very consistent with getting the Tactical online. There's not much else you could ask of your Tactical player here, as now zones being traded back and forth. No one team quite gaining the early edge here, so already, I guess, a better starting point for Henlo Fan Club compared to last game.
A little bit of a better starting point here. Now we start to see the engagement come through with the Killer Whale, but at the end of the day, there's no other specials to continue following this one up. Len goes down before the big bubbler comes out, and Gru is likely just going to take this zone, both these zones, I should say, right on back. There's the 3-down situation, and that push just couldn't quite get rolling. I saw Henlo Fan Club try to move forward, but they don't have the range. They're going to get picked off from afar if they just try to run into this one face first. I need to see those specials start to come online and stagger those specials one on top of the next to make a push, much like they might do right here with Henlo firing this Trizuka, trying to get Len out with that big bubbler. That's what I wanted to see them do a second ago when it was almost decently successful for them, but no, not this time. Gray is still in position and looking to trap Henlo Fan Club right next to their own spawn.
Yeah, the ideology is smart, right? You know, that entry point or dissension point from your spawn is small enough for the big bubbler to fully encompass it. So it's a great way to sort of get your bearings about you, come back from Gro being so far into your spawn, and yet not much came out of it. You still are just now only barely able to break out, but it might be enough. Getting the other zones to the push stop for Gro at 14, at least for the moment. However, the shot's going to fall, and Henlo Fan Club just barely able to get it back. So a massive penalty given over there to Gro, but it may not matter here. Halfway through the match, Henlo trying to find the final shot onto Biscuit, and they do. It's just trades back and forth across the board. Not even waiting for the zone to be contested in order to use that tri-strike, just keeping the offensive and aggressive edge onto Henlo Fan Club here, and Synapse not able to make things work as they play jump rope with the Wavefinder while trying to do that fight here. Again, a big bubbler coming out. That is one thing I'll say about Len, though, the consistency at which they're able to get these big bubblers out, and this time actually going in between the two zones, which does give them enough to not only claim the zone, but almost get rid of their entire penalty.
You know, you say that, but now the team is split up. Henlo decided to go forward while Len decides to drop back. It's an easy pick. Henlo goes down. He is tactical alert, so we'll be right back up. But again, this causes chaos on multiple sides of the map. And who's going to thrive? The team that's able to just slowly chip away and build up their space because they've got the range advantage. Groogru comes right back in here, and they're going to basically, once again, force Henlo Fan Club to try to engage into them. Here's all the specials popped at the same time, and they get one player when barely one of the zones. This is so easy right now for Groogru to keep stepping back, and now they might give away the zones and put a penalty on for a second, but they'll be able to probably re-engage right back unless Henlo Fan Club can keep this momentum rolling. Len up there now with a second big bubbler. Okay, takes down Obito. Kyo tries to drop in here. Is going to be able to get the best of Len in the Thunderdome, and now Henlo's going to camp one of the jumps here, so maybe there's an opportunity, but no, now Henlo's immediately down, and the last one up is Lexi. Once again, Groogru comes right back in, and you can't see the establishing from this composition of Henlo Fan Club.
That's one of the things I love about your commentary is that you are more unabashed than I think I will ever be. And you're right. I mean, the tantamount usage of that many specials and only really getting a pick from it is not successful. It's not a recipe for success, and it's not going to give them very much. And Groogru able to take their penalty of 60 plus and convert it down to 14 alongside the 14 that's on their scoreboard. Henlo Fan Club just getting it back for a second here, but time is not on their side and is not their friend at this moment. Biscuit trying to set up here. They'll take down the majority of the splash wall there, and Synapse pushing ahead of it anyway to see what they can get. They do hold control of both zones, but only temporarily here. Biscuit just staying out of the effective range of Lexi here and stays alive as overtime is impending here. If they can maintain control of these zones, they take down the one sprinkler that was there, but the Trizuka's coming out as well. Two members going down for Henlo Fan Club. It's just a 52, and the big bubbler that gets popped, but it's not going to be enough. They get taken down inside, as you mentioned, the Thunderdome, and the Tri-Strike just barely not able to take things back here. One zone contested, the other one still remaining to be painted. 3 down, it's just going to be Lexi as a full wipeout yet again comes out, and that will spell disaster and the finality of this match here as Groogru able to hang on in overtime and take their 4th and final game over Henlo Fan Club.
I think that was Obito there at the end of the game, taking 3 down at the end, surgically finding that triple versus one player versus the next player and the final player. Well done there overall, of course, to Groogru. Like I said, you know, I think both of these compositions have merit, right? They both can work, and it's a matter of execution. In this case, Groogru able to step back, able to just wither the storm, and after Henlo Fan Club threw all their resources, they weren't in close enough range to any individual member to start generating any kind of an advantage. And that means that Gray can just step back, Yo can just step back, Obito's got the Trizuka ready, and they can just unleash right back against them while they're all grouped up together at the same time. So again, just means that they're not able to get further forward, and at the end of the day, that step back and that patience from Groogru is really what wins them a decent chunk of these games, especially when we're talking about splat zones, right? At the end of the day, they are going to be the mechanical players, right, in this kind of setting, or so we expect. And so they're going to have some of those advantages, especially knowing how to play around those advantages with the weapons they have.
Yeah, Groogru just looking like a scary team out there. You know, Gray with the very fitting soccer celebration at the end there, sliding on the knees, and, you know, very confident in what they do as well, not really opting to change off of their main weapons at any point. Players that are very confident in their playstyle and playing with each other and know sort of where they like to set up. They're also unafraid to let a lead, go away or to give a little bit of space. And sometimes I think lower level teams are a little afraid of that. They think that every lead that they have is the one that they have to defend with their life, and not recognizing soon enough when they need to cut their losses and back out, jump out, however you want to go about it. So a team that clearly knows high-level Splatoon and has been in the game for quite some time, and now has only dropped, I think, 3 total games out of the 2 best of 7s that they've played so far against high-level teams that all had to individually qualify for this league itself. So they are going to be a daunting team, and one that, unsurprisingly, was picked by, I believe, every caster for this week in this matchup. So Enlo Fan Club able to take a game off them. They've spoiled the shutout. And in fact, I don't think we've seen a full 4-0 win by any team in 20XX League. And we'll have to see if our next match can prove that right or wrong. We also, I don't think, have seen any matches go to a full 7 games either. It's been all 4-1s and 4-2s, which is nice, but the extremes have not quite been met.
Somewhere competitive, right in the middle, exactly where we want it.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going to happen next. You mentioned those predictions. Let's take a look at those real briefly as we get set up for our next match. Of course, GruGru was the heavy favorite in that last one. They will go on to play against BTDX next week. And Henlo Fan Club, with the loss, they're now 1-1. They'll go up against Moonlight, those two teams we will see at the end of our series today. But you mentioned the possibility for a 4-0 in the next one. Unlikely to happen based on the way that our casters are predicting. Pretty split across the board, and you and I have got some differing opinions as we head on to Metro versus DatKid Fan Club.
I am not going against my better judgment, but I am projecting almost. This is what I want to see happen, and I think this one could go the distance. DatKid Fan Club, this was a team that was a 4-1 win in their week 1 match. They only played zones as well, so that's something that is a bit unproven about their gameplay, at least in the 20XX League, is won on zones 4 times, lost on zones once, and also not really ones to change up their composition. They just had Nilla alternating between the Neo Splash and the Splatter Shot. So just a little bit of altering the short-range shooter game. And otherwise, you've got Miner sticking around on the Slosher. You've got DatKid on the custom range blaster. So I alluded to that earlier with Gray favoring the vanilla range blaster, and then Harshy is going to be your pencil user for this one. And then on the opposite side of things, you have Metro, who just has such a stacked team. Zenith, I've grown so much respect for her. She has won countless times and has played the largest variety of weapons. We even saw a silver arrow spray come out in the very first game from her in week 1. Alongside that, Splatana Wiper, Carbon Deco, and then something more familiar to the meta in the Order Shot. And the rest of the team pretty consistent with what they run. Goss is going to be their 52 user. Yoshell going to be on their pencil. And then Atomic had some absolutely crazy plays on the foil squeezer. I know, Abot, you had some thoughts on Twitter about how that weapon would be altered or tuned based on the most recent patch notes, but I found very interesting their setup where they use Haunt, and then on Scorch Gorge was doing some funky things like holding onto the power clam and using it as bait to draw out the enemy team and get some picks before throwing it away to a teammate. So I'm super excited to see Metro's gameplay and how DatKid Fan Club matches up.
Yeah, so you mentioned, going through these two compositions, DatKid Fan Club, basically the same thing you're going to see from GruGru, right? They're effectively running a very similar composition, if not basically identical across the board. Metro is this interesting team where they're able to be a lot more proactive, a lot more nimble, I like to say, where they're able to spread out, they're able to work a little bit quicker thanks to the weapons they have at their disposal. And with this core of the foil squeezer, the pencil, and the 52 gal, Zenith can basically play whatever they want to and get away with it as long as it fits closer to that nimble selection, right? You saw that Aerospray come out. I think that was mostly to try to get a little bit more paint down on the ground, but you saw things that could be incredibly aggressive, like that Carbon and Splatana Wiper, that are able to come out here and continue to double down on that aggression, right? And just how quick this team can continue to move around and take care of business. And the other thing is Atomic on this squeezer, right? I think Atomic is probably the best active squeezer we've got right now, if you want to watch anything. And often opts for the foil squeezer. I think there are times, Zach, where Metro has played no Trizukas in their special composition because they've got this foil squeezer instead, which again, I think that splatter color screen can cause more chaos around this team who can be more nimble, right? And so that's something that, again, Metro is going to be the faster paced team. They're going to want to get in the face of DatKid Fan Club, and DatKid Fan Club is going to be those ones to step back and continue chipping away as they continually and slowly, incrementally build out their own space. So there's that kind of breakdown here in the stylistic differences. I'm thinking Metro probably comes out on top. I mean, I think this roster is probably the most practiced that we have in the 20XX League, right after going through the gauntlet, winning Super Jump as of late, and that's how they qualified to get into this league even in the first place. Meanwhile, the rest of these teams obviously were pickups largely formed for this league individually, and that's not to say that the players don't have experience playing with each other. Of course, they've got plenty of experience playing with each other, but when we're talking about the same core of players, I think Metro is going to be more practiced. They know their style, and they know how to execute it.
Yeah, you mentioned splatter color screen. It's certainly going to go down in an interesting place in history, and I think it's something to be studied. When it came out, there was a lot of conversation around the accessibility factors of it that I think took away from the functional capabilities of it and its place in the meta, you know, what weapons it came on, where it benefited from, and it's really found a very fun home with this foil squeezer and a play style that I don't think is for everybody, but the squeezer itself is such a practiced, meticulous weapon. It's something where you constantly have to be tapping. That in itself is a style and is very popular among Japanese compositions as well. Mainly the vanilla squeezer, of course. We don't see the foil squeezer as much, but I think starting to creep its way more so into the meta. But Atomic, you know, as I mentioned earlier, playing it with an interesting kit and composition, the abilities that they're using with it, you know, even marking somebody means that when they get that first hit, they're also allowed to call that out to their team and are able to mark them essentially as a way to see potentially where the enemy's grouping up. Because if somebody gets hit, if they're hurt, they like to sort of retreat back and see if there's anybody that they can regroup with among their team. That could be, you know, putting the proverbial tracker on the honeybee and leading it back to the hive. You know, it really is such a fun and interesting way to address and handle the weapon. You have Goss, who's on the 52 gal. That could lead itself to some great killer whale usage. And then Zenith, again, it's anybody's guess what she'll play. It's so fun. It's one of the few players that I've seen that, you know, has such a variety of weapons in their toolkit that they're comfortable using at such a high level. And in a sense, it's a lost art to be able to be masterful and comfortable playing it on a high level with so many different weapons that are not necessarily meta picks. Silver Arrow Spray aside, you know, you're not seeing that many Carbon Decos rolling around either, even though it pops up every now and then and is, you know, certainly a fun destructive weapon to watch.
Yeah, but again, like you mentioned, right, Atomic's playstyle on the squeezer, right? So I was talking about this nimble gameplay, right? The squeezer's got a decent bit of range. Then you get one chip on somebody. All of a sudden, you can ask, hey, Zenith, hey, Goss, there's somebody, go get them, right? That's basically what you can do. But now, little bit of a mix-up here. Atomic going over to the vanilla roller, Goss on the dualies. Zenith playing the traditional shot. Zenith playing maybe the most traditional weapon in the lobby aside from the pencil. And an interesting change up here from Metro.
Yeah, Atomic, so fun to see them on a weapon that really this class does not get too much play at this point. Miner able to help take them out. Now Miner going to be over on the side here. One of the first ones to go up against those order dualies, and they get taken out. They sort of play at a similar range. Typically, you want your slosher to try and win those out if they can, but Atomic sharking out now, seeing if they can build up this big bubbler. We had some conversations in the first set about how that big bubbler can factor in. The most natural home for it as far as modes go feels like tower control, where you can instantly pop it on the tower. It gives you that built-in beacon so that you can jump to it if need be, and also just the protection that it provides, even though there have been some changes around how much ink it can actually take before it goes down completely. So I'm interested to see how it's used. They do have it online as of this point, and for now, Metro making the first push and the first ones to get to the first checkpoint.
And by the way, don't get it twisted, Atomic actually used to be known for the roller before the squeezer, right? Has been around playing competitively in this game for quite some time and originally was a roller player. So no stranger to the weapon here at all. As we start to see Metro move a little bit on forward, here comes a little bit of extra range they've got as well. And now Atomic going to keep being the little ledge goblin that we know the roller to be, is going to get taken down regardless. But even still, Metro now down to this final checkpoint here. Suddenly Dak and Fan Club has to step up, but they're not buying a lot of space around this tower. Finally, they get a couple off of their higher side, and that'll allow them to start sweeping down through this tower. But Atomic sticking around. There's the big bubbler again. Finds yet another one against Miner, and this is going to be a very quick take back of the tower. We'll see just how far Metro wants to push this advantage, because they don't have specials, and now with Atomic going down, it feels like we're going to see this reset to neutral.
Yeah, the thing with Inkblot PC is that the start of it has a lot more sort of twists and turns and covers a little bit more area, even on a map that's not quite so large itself. You have that first checkpoint where you're kind of sandwiched between a rock and a hard place, two different walls that, is a honeypot for tri-strikes and for anything else you might want to throw on it. Once you get past about the second checkpoint, you really have sort of free reign over the plat at that time if you're set up well. So it becomes much more difficult for the defending team to really defend as they're having to come down from spawn. They have some ramps to deal with. They have some unequal area to deal with. They can try to go right to sort of that back area, the raised platform there. But really, you need a weapon that can play within an optimal range. You see where the Pencil Harshi is set up right now. That's about sort of where I'm thinking here. But the other parts of the team are also having to set up back there. Dakkid, of course, there because of this Kraken Royale. He's able to run through and help create some space as well as get some picks. But it really does mean that if the team is past those first two checkpoints, not only do they not have to worry about them on the next pushes that they go through, as Atomic is, we're going to get one of the easier picks that you'll see there on the Dakkid, but really does create so much space for you and makes your life so much easier in the latter half of the game.
Atomic Surgical Gauss continues to move forward here as well, and Metro once again keeps its advantage. Dakkid Fan Club just hasn't been able to keep building that incremental space because Metro keeps throwing haymakers. Next thing you know, there's Atomic coming at you, punishing, a probably unfortunate drop there that you saw. I think it was Dakkid drop down into that corner and an easy punish comes out from Atomic. Then you see just the tip end of that range of the roller on the vertical flick, able to find one, and now all of a sudden they're right back down to this final checkpoint. Bubbler on top of the tower, and a couple go down here. Yoshel might have to back on away. Zenith's going to be able to come up with one, though. Wait for them to come on through here. Now going to be able to try to squid surge forward. No, denied. Now Yoshel close to knocking out the tower, but no cigar here. Will be Dakkid Fan Club starting to come on back, but again, can they wither the storm? Continually, we see the pressure from Metro, and it just keeps going as Gauss throws that crab tank down and continues buying space for this team.
Yeah, we'll certainly not beat around the bush. Getting to 3 requires effectively a knockout if Dakkid Fan Club is somehow going to come back on this one. The Kraken Royale pops just in time to survive the flick there as Zenith is going to go down looking for another one there, and it looks like the roller just able to get by them. But so much map control in favor of Metro right now. They've even got the sprinkler assisting them. Atomic is going to go back with the rest of their team for that tactical rebuff in these final 15 seconds, and Zenith pushing forward unabashedly but gets taken down by Miner. Miner will immediately get traded out. Yoshel in the background here, 2 down for Dakkid Fan Club, and only the roller lost on the side of Metro. They even have the order dualies with their special online. It'll come out now, as I believe it's that crab going to be hanging out in mid, and no chance as they have no map control to contend with, and Metro dominantly winning just outside of the KO range here in game 1 to take our first set lead.
Yeah, and looking at this composition, I was like, all right, how exactly is this going to work? Because I was starting to see some of the things they could do, a lot of the nimbleness that I praised this roster for suddenly got a little bit of extra range, got a little slower in trade-offs for, that extra range, which is helpful, especially on the vanilla roller, right, to catch some people off with that vertical flick. But then also Gauss stepping back for the crab tank as well, which is a very, very important, really anchor, right? You get a bonus anchor on the map when you throw out that crab tank, and suddenly you're able to come through with a little bit of extra presence and effectively mitigate some of the pressure that Dakkid Fan Club wants to do. Much like we saw Gruguru attempt, right? Continue to go forward with a little bit of that range. Suddenly, your range blaster is outranged by the crab tank. Your slosher is outranged by the crab tank. They can't get into position, especially on Inkblood Art Academy when it gets set up incredibly well. You see a lot of what they're looking for here in that composition, and then you pair it with some of the tried and true things, and suddenly you got a pretty dangerous recipe here all the same. And I like this other look from Metro. We'll see whether or not Dakkid Fan Club can get a hold of themselves. I really think we need to start seeing them play, and I don't recommend this often, but a little bit more individually, actually, because I think one of the benefits of the CRB, and I think in theory, I don't know about in practice, but in theory, I like the CRB better than the vanilla range blaster because you have that Kraken. You've got the panic button. It's an incredibly strong special that I roll my eyes at the fact that's in the game, but at the end of the day, it's strong and you should use it, right? And that allows a range blaster suddenly, if it gets caught out, to pop the Kraken and immediately turn the tide of what's going on around them. I think if we can see that kind of play come in from Dat Kid, suddenly we'll be able to see a little bit more success. But for right now, he's not able to get into many positions to enable that to happen. And so for right now, Metro seems to be running the way of this match.
Yeah, buyer beware. The Kraken is not akin to the Kraken or even the Bubbler from Splatoon 1. That was an instant gratification sort of panic button. It does have this sort of wind up time that you need in order to get that special online. So you have to be cautious when using it as a panic button. Maybe a premeditated panic button is a better turn of phrase for it. But we saw that come into play in that first match. We saw it get used at exactly the right time. They survive out of it. They get a pick out of it. They dissuade, if not fully take out Atomic from continuing on the map. And that's really what you can opt or want from a special like that, is to help clean house and make sure that whatever vicinity that you're swimming around in is this gigantic sea monster, you're able to make the most out of it. But let's get into game 2. We saw some interesting weapon changes in the first game based on our predictions and what we saw in week 1. Let's find out what changes are in store from us here. And on the side of Metro, they will be sticking with both order weapons that they chose in, I guess there's 3 technically, but the changed ones, the Coolies and the Roller, to join with Zenith, Order Shot, and Yoshel's, of course, Pencil, and going to Mahi Mahi, a map that we have had yet to see this week.
Yeah, and I think the other thing here too is they're trying to find something else different that they can throw at this Metro team, right? You see no blaster at all now as Dat Kid switches over to the 52, maybe trying to beat fire with fire, but I wonder if it's a little bit too much of fire with fire, as Metro's going to run the gambit here, get the early wipeout, and move so far forward already. Good counter on the Trizooka towards that crab tank, but even still, Metro is extending their reach, expanding city limits as they rush forward to the Dat Kid Fan Club spawn.
Yeah, most folks use their specials to try and retake a zone. Metro took the zone and then used multiple specials to make sure that Dat Kid Fan Club was locked into spawn for as much as possible. So we are going to get past the halfway mark, which means the rest of this map is going to become unlocked here. Zenith predicting someone going to jump out from the ink rails. It was Harshy, and I say was because they jumped out as quickly as they grinded the rail in there, and the points are down already to 20. The 52 gone down early, and that's one of your offensive edges, or should be, for Dat Kid Fan Club. Nilla able to build up just enough of a Trizooka that they can get the paint on the zone. They had enough from the Pencil as well to temporarily take control away, but not the first wipe out of the game is going to allow for Metro to hold on to an emphatic knockout in the early stages of this one and take a commanding 2-0 set lead.
And that one, the first one was like a pretty convincing game. This one was a convincing game, exclamation mark, right? With the way that Metro was able to run around the map and just continually control everything that was happening, Dat Kid Fan Club stood no chance. I would rather honestly see them stick with what they know, stick with the CRB, and try to find a way to mitigate some of the pressure and go to maps where you can try to choke Metro out rather than try to fight fire with fire here. Don't know if that was the right play, but now they've got another opportunity here to counterpick as Metro goes up 2-0.
Any opportunity I get to pick specifically your brain with the swath of experience that you have, I will take. And, I want to pose the question as we go up to counterpicking here, where Splat Zones has clearly not worked out for them so far in this set, but it's all that they've known in the 20XX League so far. We mentioned, Dat Kid Fan Club, 5 games, 4 wins on Splat Zones. This time, 0 wins out of 2 games played on Splat Zones. Do you tempt fate with some of the other modes that are available, or do you sort of continue the course? Do you learn little bits by bits, and can you learn fast enough from these 2 quick losses at the hands of Metro here? Typically you want to be adaptable and play to the team that you're going up against, but sometimes you don't have enough time to sort of swap and to learn from that. So I'm very interested to see and hear your thoughts on, where should they go? We have lots of maps left on the table, and we have everything available pretty much for tower control and Clam Blitz. What are we going to do here with Inkblot Art Academy, tower control being the first one gone, and then Splat Zone's second game now being out of the picture? You've lost on your signature mode. What do you change and how do you go forward?
Honestly, if you're Dat Kid Fan Club, I think both styles can work, right? I think the range starting to slowly take care of business can work. Obviously, the really fast playstyle can work. We saw the slow playstyle work in the last one where Gray was on the vanilla blaster, right? opting for even more of that slower, consistent play, or vanilla range, I should say. Whereas here, maybe we have a little bit more independence, but even still, we want to play towards that same style. Really, if I'm DatKid Fan Club, I'd rather stick with what I know. I'd rather stick with what I've practiced for weeks on weeks, rather than go to something a little bit different here. And I really do think their best bet is probably a zones map they're most comfortable on. Yes, I know they just lost on it. Yes, I know it didn't look good, but Mahi is an incredibly polarizing one. I think Robo Ramen here actually ends up being a decent pick for them. I wasn't about to predictively say that, by the way. I saw that come up on the screen, to be abundantly clear. But that's a decent pick for them, I think, because we're talking about that range, right? If you can try to get those picks early, especially where something like that vanilla roller might not be able to get set up, suddenly you're going to be able to come out with a decent showing. But now even shorter range, I think, at this point, as we've gone down to the Neo Splash as well for DatKid Fan.
Yeah, desperation, perhaps knowing that there may be chances where Metro is pressuring them essentially in their spawn, and the Tri-Strike, one opportunity that you can have to throw sort of that ink over the heads of your opponents and make it onto the zones. We'll see how it plays out. And we mentioned sort of topography, and in the first set we talked a lot about, okay, there's flat maps versus non-flat maps for zones. This is one that has sort of those non-flat elements built in to the zone itself. Although DatKid Fan Club starting out as well as you could have hoped, really, having past 70 mark here, and Atomic just now stopping things with a fat triple, looking for the quad, and they'll get it. Atomic showing everybody that the Order Roller is here to stay, and so is their aggressive gameplay.
And now jumps right back away, right? Able to find the play where all three are grouped up, then able to get back just as quickly. The nimbleness of this composition and this team's playstyle is critical, and Gauss comes up with yet another two going forward. Metro once again further pushes forward and is keeping DatKid Fan Club incredibly far back. Now look, Gauss pops the crap tank up here. What's it doing there? Able to range back so many of these other members, and Atomic starts to come forward, but honestly, they're willing to take the willing to accept that loss, given by the fact that they're putting so many points on the board right now. DatKid Fan Club able to regroup. Now we're starting to throw some specials to the zone, and they will find the cap, enforcing the penalty. But even still, they haven't pushed their way all the way through, and it feels like Metro's going to throw a counterpunch here soon.
Yeah, it was the straw that broke the camel's back there and opened the floodgates, getting that quad and now opening things up. DatKid Fan Club finally showing a bit of resistance there. They not only claim the zone temporarily, but they get it back now. They had to use both Tri-Strikes at their disposal, and one of them that would try to farm up yet another. The Slosher going down here. It's the Neo Splash that's going to have to try and regroup. You see DatKid alone down there in the bottom level, sharking on that wall, while the rest of Metro pretty well grouped up next where this tactical has just been popped. We'll see if they start to spread out now that they have the buff enabled. DatKid Fan Club similarly with Arshi's buff on the tactical, but having to dodge out of the way of the Trizuka that's coming their way. Zenith not able to find a pick quite yet, but they're also hanging around on sort of that lower elevation, but as such, not really able to make much of an impact yet on the zone. Now Zenith pushes forward. It's going to be the 52 going down, the big bubbler going on top of the zone, and that's going to be enough to get it back just in time before the lead might swap over. Zenith making up for lost time, getting a couple and a third there on to DatKid, and they get a quad. They will a full wipeout by now multiple members. That's a fifth, and now a sixth, as Zenith, she cannot be stopped.
What is going on with this team? They ate their Wheaties this morning and are coming to work right now. Gauss throws out this crab tank again, keeps DatKid Fan Club so far pushed back, and again, the pressure is suffocating. Metro has so much effective territory on the map. Atomic's able to swoop forward and do whatever they want to. Zenith launches forward, Gauss launches forward, and the rest of the map gets painted by Yoshell. How easy is the execution for this practiced team in their game plan? They get the job done here. Zach, I might have commentator cursed us earlier. This very well might be the clean sweep. We might need to go get our brooms.
Yeah, I was definitely hoping, as I mentioned earlier, we saw one end of the extreme versus the other. Based on my pick, I was hoping it was the Game 7, but certainly based on the 3 games that we've seen so far, it is looking like a reverse sweep would be nigh on impossible for DatKid Fan Club. We're going to see some replays now of a couple of the 4-player splats that we saw. The starting one here from Atomic, just using the horizontal flick for the first few, and then getting Harshi with a beautiful vertical one, and now Zenith with the 6 player rampage. She pushes forward, is able to take out DatKid after handling 2 near the zone, finds Harshy, and does not stop there. Did not even need to use the Zuka for the first 4, but gets a double with 3 shots there, a 3-0 set lead, and it is just beautiful. I know, K-Bot, you mentioned that in at least the first 2 games that we started with, they were so consistent as a team. Each one played their role so meticulously well, and that time was no exception. Game 3 is no exception to that, but we finally got to see some individual players and some hero moments break out where DatKid Fan Club truly had an edge, and it took the overwhelming presence of a single player to turn the tide.
Yeah, and how about, right, that 6? What's it all about? Withering the Tacticooler Storm. What's 6 gonna do for you? It's gonna get you pretty darn close to all the way there, right? To fully establishing yourselves and getting this team to a lockout situation. So props off there. But again, everybody stepped up for Metro, right? Goss had a triple that we didn't even get to see in that last little replay clip. And Yoshel, they're the pencil. They're doing things in the background, whatever, right? But end of the day, right? I mean, this team of Metro is showing just how strong they are. And I think people forgot just how strong this team was. I didn't get the chance to watch everything, but may I remind you, this is the team that won Super Jump. The last time everybody came together and threw their hats in the ring for a title, it was this team that came out on top, and they're showing why here today.
Yeah, Grogro definitely was sort of the consensus favorite of this week, being picked by every caster, but they've got some serious competition in Metro. Could be a prediction of what the final match could look like for the 20XX League. And as a reminder, there are funds online, and as good a time as any to mention it now, but on the bottom of your screen, there is a link, dapple.inc/prize pool, if you want to help contribute to make these teams fight even harder for the ultimate prize of winning the 20XX League. I believe a starting pool of $250 USD that will only grow over time as your donations pour in. So please, if you have the funds available, consider checking out that link below. Again, it is dapple.inc/prize pool, and these players I know would certainly appreciate it.
Hey, if you think Zenith deserves a little bit extra, go ahead and throw something in the prize pool. This team's going to get at least second, probably, okay? So throw something in if you think they deserve something for that last play, and for the entire team's play, for that matter. As you mentioned, Zach, I really do think these 2 teams are heading towards a collision course for one another in Metro and Grugru. And again, they're playing 2 distinct styles, right? This incredibly aggressive style from Metro is something completely unique to this slower, longer-ranged, methodical playstyle that Grugru's playing, which is weird to say when Kyo's on that team, but in any event, a lot of the same pieces are still there, right? Watch the big bubbler go down and establish the space for the team, enabling more of these players to start to go forward. Watch how they're engaging in picking their precise targets with the Trizuka. All the fundamentals are there. It's just a matter of how they're putting these 2 together. And I think both of these styles can win. It's all a matter of who executes better. Right now, it is clearly Metro. DatKid Fan Club on the ropes. One more counter pick. They're finally sending us to clams today, Zach. Woohoo!
It took the far extremes of a potential 4-0 sweep to be on the line for one team to finally say, okay, I guess we'll go to Clam Blitz, and it's on a very common Clam Blitz map here. Museum de Alfonsino going to be the venue here for our potentially final match if Metro has their way with it, but DatKid Fan Club trying to build their resolves. Not many compositional changes here. It's still going to be Metro with the triple order composition, if you want to call it that, alongside the pencil. And DatKid Fan Club, as you mentioned, K-Bot, still feeling confident. They practice for weeks and weeks. This is a composition they feel most confident on. Maybe the change to mode and map is all it will really take.
Folks, you're fighting fire with fire here, and one fire is very hot blue fire, and the other fire is like decently hot fire, but not quite to the same level, right? I mean, I don't see it out of DatKid Fan Club right now, especially the way the past few games have gone, but they're sticking to this style, and we'll see whether or not they've got it in them to swing the tides of this one. But even still, right now, Metro gets the first lap with the first power clam in, now starts to re-engage here as Atomic goes further forward, keeps this big bubbler in position. There's the Tacticooler down, and they look for another couple claims in the basket.
And they've broken the basket yet again. They've got several at their disposal. Goss going to be throwing a suction bomb out to dissuade anybody from DATKID Fanclub from pushing forward. They use the Crab to break down the splash wall, and they just barely survived. The Crab does not, and neither do they at the end of it. A trade there is finally a full wipeout coming out, this time forced by DATKID Fanclub, but the damage is done early and often here as the push up to 35 is going to be a tough one to counter here. We see the Killer Whale getting a pick. Goss going into uncharted territory there. One of the facets of the dualies able to go into enemy ink without too much trouble with those dodges. But yet again, we see Zenith popping on this Trizooka, able to consistently get the mark. And of course, that's another special that's undergone a different suite of changes, but still a skill in and of itself to find folks that far away so consistently and create opportunities for your team.
And look at how fast Metro is moving, right? Even when they're trying to break back in, Atomic lunges forward, Goss lunges forward. They're confident in their own individual ability and their weapon play to play around the same short-range shooters that they've always played around. This is a team that knows their stuff and is unabashedly not afraid to walk forward. Now Atomic jumps into Goss here right in the middle of the map despite being in the line of fire of Miner, and now Goss is firing out this Crab tank. Gonna have to roll away, countered by the triple ink strike, but even still presents a threat to the opposite side of the map, and Metro is still controlling the pace of this game.
Yeah, and that threat feels like it's being consistently targeted, right? The Tri-Strikes seem like they're almost built in at this point to handle the Crab. The first time they were not able to do anything with the Crab. They were basically a sitting duck at that point, but they're able with this second one to get the last parting shots onto an enemy and get a pick there. Unfortunately, Atomic not going to be able to make anything out of that. Miner going to find the trade. Yoshell all the way in the back using this pillar for cover, and not enough clams to really get anything started until Yoshell picks up this power clam. They're able to throw it out and break the barricade that is going to give them a little bit of a reprieve on their penalty, and Goss also has the Crab at the ready yet again. Miner going to be taken down as the Crab, almost a distraction as the teammate came to their aid. 3 down now on the side of DATKID Fanclub in the last, marked by the power clam that they may not even get to use if Metro is able to find enough clams. Harshy able to take one out, or at least assist there. Atomic sharking around, seeing if they can find anybody. The Tactical is going to come out that right in the middle of DATKID Fanclub, but like moths to a flame, it could be danger. However, Nilla and the rest of the team able to clean everybody up except for Goss, who somehow is still alive, gets 2, and allows their team to jump in.
Oh no! Goss continues to wreak havoc here. Once again stepping up to the plate. Now we've got a couple power clams made and maybe some area established for DATKID Fanclub. Might I remind you, there still hasn't been a barrier broken yet. Metro is still in control, even despite what you're looking at, because all DATKID Fanclub knows is slowly and incrementally working their way forward. But in this composition right now, they can't do it, and quite frankly, they don't have time to do it with all that Metro is trying to send right back in their face. Atomic lurking, waiting in the wings, waiting to step right out. And here comes Miner, here comes Nilla, both going down to the roller, coming in from behind. Now Harshy's the next target. Atomic will come up just shy on that last one, but even still, we've wasted another 30 seconds off the clock, and DATKID Fanclub still can't even get through mid.
These curling bombs are just an extension of Atomic's limbs at that point. They just come out so smoothly and allow them to chase down their prey, even though that third was not around for them to claim that time. Atomic standing on top of where you would want your pencil to stand if somebody like Atomic was not bothering you endlessly. That kid's going to be the one to go down this time. Nilla trying desperately to stay alive. They will jump out with these 2 clams, but they need something. They need a power clam at their disposal. How are they even going to get to where they would try and deposit a power clam? It just looks so unlikely at this point. They have the power clam held by their pencils. We enter overtime, but one is going to go down. It's going to be the Slosher. Harshy step back by that pencil on top of things, but they're the last one alive, and it's just going to be taking them down to try and solidify things, taking some damage from the roller and a full wipeout force. Yoshell throwing the last power clam to end things off, and Metro with certainly the most emphatic set victory that we've had thus far, a 4-0 sweep over DATKID Fanclub.
Metro saying, hey, by the way, we're just as good. Just as a reminder, in case you forgot. Yeah, I mean, fantastic play from Metro across the board, right? They came together with this composition. Evidently, they've been practicing it a little bit, right? They tried it yesterday, so we're told, and in the zone. But even still here, right, the ability to just continually come up with those individual plays and write the pace of the game on their own terms. They continue to speed the pace of the game up, throwing punch after punch and not letting Dak Kid Fan Club react at all. Not only did they not quite have the same composition that they're probably used to nearly as much, they also just didn't have any resources with how Metro was treating them, right? There was virtually nothing that they could actually do to get back into the game, and so often came up just a bit shy. Thanks to this unique play style from Metro, they're finding other things outside of what everybody else is playing to surprise their opponents and come up with things. And I think this is going to be one heck of a playoff match once we get there between Metro and Rougarou. I am looking forward to that battle.
Yep, and we've got one more match today. We had a week's break between weeks 1 and 2 taking place on September 1st and taking a break on the 8th and now on the 15th here, but no more breaks. Next week will be week 3, and then the 28th is when playoffs and finals happen. So you do not want to miss it. Of course, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a new suite of casters coming up. K-Bot, anything you want to add after this final emphatic setter about any of the Splatoon that we had today?
That's all. I mean, I think we just watched the two best teams currently in the Western Splatoon ended up taking victories today. Based on everything that I know, that seems to be the case, and they're able to come out on top when it matters most. So props to them. And hey, props to the fan clubs for trying, right? I mean, it's a lot to go up against a team of both of these calibers, right? And while I might be sitting up here being harsh with the, bird's eye view, at the end of the day, there's a reason you're playing and I'm standing here. That takes a different level of dedication, and props to you for coming out here and trying.
Well, K-Bot, your analysis and commentary has not aged today. It looks as fine as when you first entered, and I super appreciate you jumping on the mic with me. We got to make way for some new casters, though. I once again want to point you to the link that's in the bottom of the screen, dapple.inc/prize pool, if you want to contribute to the overall prize that one of these teams could be winning at the end of the 20XX League. But for now, let's take a quick break, and we'll have one more match for you coming up in just a moment.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 20XX. I am Genie7, joined by Pat. And Pat, are you ready for our third match today?
I am so ready, Genie. Let's see what these teams are bringing to us. And we are going to go with BTDX going against Moonlight. Moonlight, I believe they just received the award for the competitive team of the year. Let's see if they're able to live up to the hype. It's Shadowin, Nolan, Omega, and Basil. On the other side, BTDX with Mecha, Delta, Simo, and Snipes. I mean, it's a solid pickup that has come up to the occasion, have shown what they can do. And these two teams, they have one thing in common, Genie. Yep. They lost their game on week number 1 of this 20XX league. That means they need to win it all now. They need to keep winning. On the same group, Grugu just showed how dominant they can be, how good they can be. Now it's on these two teams to do as well, to show what they can do, and they have to do it against each other. Only one of these teams will still be eligible to make it to the playoffs after this game.
Yeah, it's for BTDX, they also have to beat Gruger, so their path is a lot harder than Moonlight. Not saying that Henno Fan Club is, well, I directly am, as we did see from the match earlier. Gruger versus Henlo. Henlo should be the team that you have the better chance against.
Yeah.
But anything can happen, especially during a week. Anything can happen. Players could have off days, and things could change.
A lot could happen. These teams have shown their ability to change, their ability to adapt. Since the qualifiers happened, there was a patch that changed a bit the weapons. These teams adapted, these teams changed, and now they've been learning each other a lot. They've had the opportunity to see each other play and prepare for exactly the composition that these teams are going to bring. Being able to adapt to what the other team is doing is so important in Splatoon, and especially when you go into a best of 7, it's really your ability to go into the other team's head, your ability to really understand what they do and how to counter it. That's going to allow you to take the W.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more, Pat. And a point to follow up on that is these teams, they've been able to watch the matches because we stream all of them. And we have a set map pool. So these teams, you can't run, you can't hide. Your strats, yes, they can change depending on each team you're playing. But realistically, teams have at least something to watch. And they have some VODs to review on you at all points in time.
Yep, and here we go. Let's start. Moonlight going with the Decapitator and the Custom Range Blaster on the other side. BTDX with a Vanilla Range Blaster. Hoping to counter that. We'll see which blaster has been good. That's a debate that has been raging at every level of this game. Which of the blasters is the best? And well, it looks like BTDX is getting the upper hand right now. Getting some paint over mid, but Omega with the Decapitator is already creating more aggro and forcing BTDX to move back onto the plat.
Yeah, we are going to see just nothing of a lead. I've never ever seen in the history of all the games that I've commentated and all the games that I've played a victory of 99, Pat. So I'm going to guarantee it right now. This is not the game anyway.
I've seen it once. That was in Clan Blitz. I was playing it and it was painful. But...
I did say tower control because a lead of 99 does not exist in Clan Blitz.
Yeah.
It's this match though. I'm just hoping to see who can break open and who can get that top left plat at the start. We need to see the pencils go down, and we do have a pencil going down from Moonlight, except they're still pushing the tower just a little bit.
Yeah.
And as I say that, the lead is now extended.
Extended to 81. That's not much. Moonlight not able to get through that checkpoint, and now it's Bet who are able to go forward, get a lot of paint around mid. The fight for mid is over, and Bet is on top, is on to that checkpoint, and there's nobody to recontest it. They're going to get it pretty easily. Now the question is, can they get to the second checkpoint? Can they get some ground into Moonlight's side of the map?
They really need to find it with the strikes. They did a good job with that, but having Omega in mid, getting these splats, that's going to put an end to this push.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like the push is over. Delta trying to keep things going, but it's not going to work. Moonlight is back in control, and with 3 down, it's their turn to get to the checkpoint. Omega not wasting a second, already getting on top, and there's 3 players from Moonlight that are already on that platform pushing forward. The bubbler is way ahead of the tower. That's going to allow Moonlight to take not only the lead, but to get to the second checkpoint.
Ooh, Mecha's trying to run here, get the splat, but they can't. Basil comes up with the clutch tap shots. That is going to be really good, because not losing your pencil means these jumps are going to be back in. The Kraken is here. Omega's there. Nolan ready to go in for another fight here. And that, Pat, I'm worried about the second checkpoint, especially with Azuka coming online. BTDX, they have to stay alive.
Yep, and very nice bomb right there. Bet able to keep themselves in the game, able to push Moonlight away. Moonlight got the lead, but that's just more. Omega! Almost getting a double right there. The lead is still going on for Moonlight, but they're not able to push forward, but they're able to stay there, Genie.
Oh, big double! I believe that was a bomb coming up, because, like, there's no way 2 people went down to a pencil with 1 shot. That's just not how that weapon works. But my goodness, what a good job. But unfortunately for BTDX, they haven't been able to, like, really get the true flush out, and that's the problem. That's one of the big issues of this meta. You have to be able to flush out everyone. If you don't get everyone out, the jumps will just come back in. And especially with stacks, Pat, there's such an easy opportunity to just jump back in.
As you say that, Moonlight is at that second checkpoint again, making the quick work off of it, but not able to get out of their spawn, able to push Nolan away, and Omega, that's going to be a lot of fire for Bet, but they need to get rid of that tower. Nolan is still on there, still trying to push forward as there's still a fight going on, and Bet is struggling to
big double.
fight away. 2 down. Is that enough?
No, it's not enough. It's, again, they got 2, they've gotten 3 now, but who's still alive? Basil. All those jumps are back in. A cooler has been used, which means that everyone's going to be back again for another fight at some point in time, very soon. And these trades are terrible for Bet. They need to get a wipeout. That's mandatory. Or you get Basil and 2 others. That's about it.
They need to get Basil. That's Basil has stayed alive, has dodged everything, has provided the jumps, and right now BTDX are able to push forward. 2 down on to Moonlight. This could be the opportunity for BTDX, but with just 15 seconds, BTDX, they need everything to go their way now.
Cooler both sides, and the difference in the range blasters. Kraken is a actually okay special to stop in tower control. If you can run at it at tower, or you can just like take a run out. That's another option. You know, I was gonna talk about how Kraken, if you charge from high ground onto the tower, it does clear pretty much everyone out. Yes, you do get launched off tower, but as long as you're the last inkling or octoling on tower, you have that last frame, you're fine. It doesn't matter how far you get launched, as long as you are on that tower. Or it causes a lot of firepower to go at you and allows your teammates to get in. But you know what? Good strong tower control game out of Moonlight. They dominated. They had the pencil control. They had everything. They didn't like light up the kill feed as much as they could have to have this like as a clean knockout, but to trades, that's all you need. That's all your front lines need to do. If you can trade your 1v1s in the pencil and with this pencil cooler meta, you're gonna win. As long as your pencil stays alive, and that's exactly what Basil did.
Yeah, Moonlight, as you said, there were trades. Usually trades are good for both teams, but there, Moonlight, every time there was a trade, they were getting a tiny little bit of ground. They were able to get forward a tiny bit, and then there would be another trade, giving them a tiny bit more ground all the time throughout this game. They got so deep into BTDX territory. BTDX was struggling to push them away because, I mean, both teams had a pencil, but Moonlight had Basil. Basil is on a different level in terms of backline right now, showing how good that team is able to rotate, how constantly they are staying onto the map. But that is just game number 1, Genie. We have more games to go, we have more games to watch, and this time we are going on to BTDX Counterpick.
Yeah, we are going to be going on to Splatzone's Hagglefish. This is, I'm ready for it. I like it. The only problem is you have to watch out for Basil on that pencil. But the thing is, you have both teams that do have a pencil player. I'm looking more towards seeing probably the tent matchup. I'm gonna be honest. We have 2 of the world's finest tent players in this lobby, so I'm hoping to see that come out.
That we want to see it. I don't know if BTDX will come back to it, because Simo has found so much success with the blaster. But I mean, on zones, on Haggle, tent works. Tent works so well. And when you have a tent main, you use the tent, I guess.
There's one thing, Pat, about I remember from my S2 tent days when tent was really fun on some of those Clan Blitz games in S2. If you're playing against a tent, you kind of want to play tent to counter said tent, and tent's like an ego weapon. You want to be better than the other tent, because if you are better than the other tent, that's a huge advantage for your team. And I know both these 10 players. It's a matchup and it's a weapon that we don't get to often see, and they don't often get to pilot and use in every match. So at every opportunity, you'll probably see these teams slide over to that.
I guess lots of bragging rights could happen in that game. We'll see how it's about to go. And it's time to watch the game, Genie.
Yes, it is. Here we go. Splatzone's Hagglefish, game 2.
Yep, no tent on the side of Moonlight.
Bro, I'm crying, bro!
We're going to have a sword duel, Genie, between Simo and Omega. The best decapitator wins. And honestly, a bubbler in the middle of the zone is the one thing that's really good at countering the pencil. The pencil doesn't have that good object damage, so the bubbler is really a nice option to control the zone right now. Both teams trying to get the best of the other, but 2 down onto Moonlight, onto BTDX. 3 down, it's just Mecha. Last standing Mecha has to jump out. That's going to be control of the whole zone. Oh
my goodness. This match is just kind of going in Moonlight's favor right now, bro. I have seen Nolan on this weapon, on this 96 cal before. I've seen Nolan on this map, mode combination before, and I've seen a lot of chaos. Unfortunately, Kraken is just a little bit slower than he used to be, so it's only going to be an assist, and they got to watch out. They have to be able to find something here. They won't be able to. That's a dangerous spot to be in at the base.
yeah, that's able to push things away. Basil is still there. Basil's still hanging out. Basil, what? How are you alive, Basil? You're not allowed to just stroll around the map while you're alone with the rest of your team respawning. And Moonlight, just like that, take the zone back. No worries, they kept the lead. They have all the control. How? How'd you do that?
It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Pencil gameplay, I really don't understand it. It is an art form and also the most boring thing to watch at the same time. It's beautiful, yet boring. It's something to behold. I don't know.
Ooh, the Basil has been splatted right now.
Everyone else is alive. Yeah, Basil's gone, but everyone else is still here for Moonlight. So, like, sure, you got Basil, but at the cost of everything.
And right now, Moonlight able to repaint the zone for a second. That's not going to stop Bad. They're already back in there trying to get some more paint around. They're able to establish themselves with a nice perimeter and the tactical to follow through. They don't have that much penalty left, and now they look pretty solid, Genie.
They do, but they lost Mecha to Omega, and then it's going to be the Sword Duel actually opting not to fight each other at all. Omega is just going to try and go in the zone to see what they can get. They're looking for Mecha. They are able to get Mecha, but go down in a trading scenario. The zones pad are so close, but Moonlight, they are able to grab it. They are able to get control, leaving just the pencil alive.
Yeah, that's going to be more lead for Moonlight. We're halfway through the game, and Moonlight is still in control right there. Nolan activating the Kraken, going in there for a little stroll around, making sure nobody can get in. And yeah, that's punish for it.
It's the wall. I knew they wanted to go below. They wanted to fall down and stay alive, but oh, Pat, these penalties are gone. Not quite in time. Moonlight not able to keep control of it. And Base, again, they're just staying alive.
Basil not stopping, but right now it's all BTDX getting 2 splats onto Moonlight. They have the opportunity to get back. They don't have that much penalty left. If they're able to hold the zone just a few more seconds, they could get the lead right there. Omega trying to get in with the sword, punishes one, but get punished by the bomb. That's a lead for BTDX. They still have the players on. They want a bit more, and they're getting close to a KO, Ginny.
They are, and the Kraken's not going to be able to paint the zone, but you fall to the Kraken! How? Oh my goodness. I can't help to think that that was a little bit of a panic scenario there.
Nolan activates the Kraken there, and can't paint, but doesn't matter. Everybody from Bet panicked at the sight of that Kraken, rightfully so.
Oh, I thought that was getting 2. I'm not gonna lie, Pat. I've seen decavs get 3 with a swing like that.
That
the lead is gone though, Pat, and we are gonna see a jump in. Are they gonna look at it? No, they're opting to focus on the zone, which is a smarter play. I like it. They need to get these strikes online. Doesn't matter. They have other strikes that are ready to go. Mecha, are you gonna pop these? They're opting to keep control right now. Stop. Well, no, that's a Splatoon moment right there.
Yeah, incredible control by Bet. Very nice patience using the strikes at the right time. But now Moonlight is back on the attack, trying to get in. Delta is fighting Nolan, and ooh, not able to get even a trade right there. Moonlight stays in control with 3 down onto Bet, and just 15 seconds left. That's just the clean up right now. Moonlight is going to get game number 2.
Yeah, that's just going to be the last straggler to see what they can do, but you're right, Pat. This will be the end. This will be it. And this is it. Moonlight, they're up in the series.
Yeah, 2-0 for Moonlight. Moonlight, we're in the best of 7. Moonlight are halfway through a victory, but Bet able to come back, able to get the pushes that they didn't manage to get in game number 1. They are learning and they are getting better at countering what Moonlight is doing. Bet we're able to take the lead, take a huge lead at some point in the game. It's just that they need to do that for the whole game. They need to do enough to keep Moonlight at bay, and I mean, they need to splat Basil over and over and over.
Oh, it's more than just that. There's so many other threats on both of these teams that, as much as we like to we were gassing up Basil in the first games and the second game, you have to win all of your fights.
Yeah.
And it's just so apparent when it's the last member alive is the pencil, and they don't have to get any splats. They just shoot in your general direction, hit you once. You can't really push it because you know they're gonna hit you again. But that little second of indecision means that there's 3 members jumping back in. Oh, and the cooler's back online because the sprinkler was over on the left side of the map pinning so that you could easily get another cooler online.
Yeah, and especially Wada gives shout out to Omega, who was with the Decapitator, constantly diving forward and at least getting a trade and probably getting more splats than that. Omega was constantly getting in and getting the player that was about to paint the zone, that was about to do the key thing. And that ability to dive in really helped Moonlight maintain that control, maintain more control over everything in the game now. What is the next game that we're about to watch, Genie?
It is going to be Splat Zones on Macomar. This map really needs no introductions. Oh yeah. It's been here for most of everyone's memorable competitive mindset, because the people like me who remember competitive Splatoon 1, we're all pretty much in retirement homes at this point in time. So the rest of you who are still here and active in the community, it's Splatoon Mako is the map that you remember.
Yeah, I'm a Splatoon 2 baby, so I'm very much fond of Mako Mart, of Mako Zones. It's the map where you come back, where you don't know what to counterpick. It's the map that you have to practice in pretty much every scrim. It's a map with a ledge everywhere, a constant flank routes, and you're constantly in a fight, which both of these teams like to do, which both of these teams like to play. They want to play into a fight constantly. We'll see which team will be able to get the best of these fights. And I mean, BTDX, they chose this map mode. They have to step up now because, I mean, you don't want to be down 3-0. You really don't want to be down 3-0, especially in these circumstances.
No, not at all. It's a difficult situation to be in a 3-0. It is possible to come back. We have to remember it's counter picks. So if I'm BTDX, I have to say it. This is your season. This match could easily be deciding your season if you stay here, stay in, and have a chance at playoffs, or you're just looking for some more glory at the end of it.
Really, Omega bringing the Wiper to the mix. We have a Wiper, a T-Tex, Moonlight really changing their composition, creating a curveball. I guess Bet was not expecting to fight that comp there.
No, definitely not. But we're gonna see it already kind of get pushed back easily. And let's call it on the right side of Omega. You just have to play your space with the Wiper, because if you let the Wiper get too close to you, it is going to do that. It's able to get 1, it's able to get 2, and you just can't let Wiper have the space. You can't let it start cooking, because as soon as it starts cooking, it makes a masterclass.
Yeah, it looks like Bet had a pretty good opening, but as I say that, Moonlight gets a double, gets the zone, and it's their turn to hold. Now BTDX coming back from spawn, activating those triple ink strikes already, trying to get in, but get punished by the Squeezer. That rage on the Squeezer is still a force to reckon with, Genie. And Moonlight, penalty was applied onto them, but I don't think they mind that much.
Yeah. The Squeezer nerfs were, I'm going to be honest, slap on the wrist. It limited turbo controls pretty much. That's about all I felt on it, but I don't have turbo, so my finger gets sore after about 5 seconds.
Hey, it's still an incredibly good weapon, but right now BTDX has 3 specials at the ready. They are preparing a good push, and they need a big push to happen. All of their specials are there. Here comes the Tacticular. Here comes Simo with
There's
the
one.
Decapitator, getting one. They're on there, and they didn't use all of their special now. The Big Bubbler is ready to be deployed in front of the zone to extend the defense.
Yeah, this could be a massive. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Doing something on the right side there. They got 2, which is good because I know they didn't have Cooler online. And Simo, you got to use that bubble to get your ink tank back, or else you're just gonna fall. They have to go forward now. They are trying to find Nolan. Can they get Nolan? Oh, I thought they had them for sure.
Simo used their special there to get nothing, and now
Just getting somebody.
Ooh.
They didn't. Commentator's curse.
Whoa, BTDX has the lead right now, no penalty, and it's looking like they are working this map halfway through, and Moonlight needs to run at the zone right now. The strikes are coming from both teams. Everybody's painting the zone as much as they can, and BTDX is going to get game number 3.
Season saved, and Delta was the MVP of that match for sure. At the halfway point, we saw Delta go on that right side and get a massive double, and then held it down again on the right side. Normally, you see your sloshers, Pat. Whenever you're playing on Mako, you see them on that left side. You see them over by glass, trying to hold that ledge, but it's rare to see them on the right side. And because they were on the right side over by Freezer, they really caught Moonlight off guard, because that's normally where you see the sword. Especially one like a Decap who can't do the slashes like a Wiper or like a Stamper.
Yeah, but I mean,
Oh my
wherever
gosh,
on
counter pick.
what is
Instantaneous, Pat. Instantaneous. I think that's any percent speed run. Like that's a counter pick speed run right there. We're gonna see that a new category on SplatoonSpeedruns.com.
counter pick percent is Glam Blitz on Scorch Gorge. And hey, Scorch Gorge is a time save because it's the first map in the map select.
Oh, true.
So that's how they're able to do so fast.
And what is it? Zones. Then left. You have to go left one to turf war and left one more to
Yeah, two left to get Clam Blitz, but you're not gonna play Scorch Gorge on zones. So
well, they were already on zones because they had zones Mako.
yeah.
But my goodness.
That's a fast counter pick, and I mean, I guess we have to see now. We have to see the.
So we've seen Moonlight pick this. This was what brought the meme up of Zuka merchants. Thank you, Keo, for that awesome picture, which you already had pre-saved. But let's see if the aforementioned Zuka merchants can pull off some lottery wins.
Well, we still don't see a tent coming.
I'm trying.
When does the decapitator to shred your tent? You know you have to.
Yeah, you just can't, and it's really sad. It's, I don't know. They Nintendo like to implement like all of the bows besides Reflux and all of the swords. They just make Tent's life, all the brothers' lives, like impossible to play.
Yep, but hey, Decapitator is pretty fun to watch, to be honest. So can't wait to watch it. As I say that, the Slosher gets punished. Omega getting on a tear and gets punished for it. Ooh. Meanwhile, Simo able to bring the Big Bubbler right under there. Oh, punishing the Kraken. Bet is going to get a push. They still don't have the clams at the ready though. You need the clams to push.
No, yeah, you do need the clams to push, exactly, Pat. That's a mandatory thing with Clamblets, but pushing Moonlight this far back, I do have to say that is kind of good because they won't be able to have the clams on, and unfortunately though, you won't have that paint for BTX because Moonlight, they get to reclaim all of that mid paint for themselves, and they also get a pick.
Yep, and right now, Omega is still lunging with that Decapitator. Everybody has the Super Clam in there, and with the Big Bubbler, that's going to an opening of the basket. 2 Super Clams in, that's a nice 60 points, but Genie, very, very swift answer by BTDX, defending perfectly and pushing Moonlight away.
Yeah, and that's a 2-2 trade out there in mid. No real control of the upper mids, we're seeing more both of these teams opting for those ramp controls, your pathway into the clams basket, which is something that like I know a lot of lower level teams, they prioritize top mid because they think that that's the end all be all. It can be at times, but in Clan Blitz you need to hold that ramp. If you don't have ramp, you don't have the basket, and if you don't have the basket, you don't have a way to score.
It's about controlling the base, controlling where people can go, and right now Moonlight is back in control of mid, it seems, as BTDX is struggling to get the picks going. Bazooka going in there is going to punish Omega with the Decapitator, and Asimo is forcing the jump away. It looks like BTDX has some paint onto mid, but they still need to get a push forward now that they have the clans.
Yeah, here goes the Kraken out. It is going to cause some jumps and some scattering around. We are going to see no follow-up. Oh, just brief amount of follow-up. Good from Shadow to get in there at a time. I saw a whole bunch of shots land on somebody as a gal, and they did not fall. I'm hoping that was a sprinkler that died.
And look at that, BTDX, they are all clumped under their own basket, waiting for Moonlight to do something. Moonlight, they don't even have the clamps, they're just happy to be here right now. Chew down onto BTDX.
Oh my!
Oh! Died by your own bubbler.
Yeah, and the clams, they're able to be rallied together. This team knows, they know who's getting the clams, and they know when to throw them and where they're going to go to be able to score them. And that was beautiful. Bazooka is out. It's not able to find too much, but it does assist their team in allowing them to keep this basket open. Shadow opting not to go back to get some more clams because they know they just need to get the ones that they have in right now.
And one more Kraken. Every time Nolan activates the Kraken, Bet is forced to panic around just to keep their lives. Delta is going to be punished right there. Nolan didn't even need to drop to get that splat. The basket is still ticking. Just 5 more clams is all Moonlight needs. 3 more clams. They have them. They are ready to get in. And here they come.
All right, Pat. I'm terrified. Like, just terrified for BTDX. That need to win on Clan Blitz. Because even if they win this next game, Moonlight has counter picks. And the problem is we can't actually cancel out modes. Because with us only having tower control zones and Clan Blitz, you can keep counter picking back to the same mode.
Yep.
If I'm BTDX, there's only, in my opinion, one map that I'm gonna take Moonlight to. Why? It's the counter strat. You have to make them not be able to play. I know our counter pick is in, but if you want them not to be able to play as many Clan Blitz games, you have to pick Zone Umami against them, so then they can't play Zone Umami. Unfortunately, Pat, I know what the counter pick is because it just came through.
They didn't have your strats, Genie. You should have told them earlier. Right now, we are going to Robo Roman for splat zones. It's honestly, I think it's a good pick for Bet. They were more solid on zones. They were able to get some ground, to get some momentum, and they had a decent time on Mako. That's the kind of zones where a bucket can do incredibly well, and we've seen Delta absolutely shred with that bucket. This is the map for the slow shot.
Bucket can also shut out Umami, but I agree. Robo Ramen is actually a better bucket map. I find the bucket players they like Mako and Robo Ramen. It just works well for them because of the ledges that are given here and the areas where tri-strikes can be used safely to get a lot of value.
Yeah, there will be lots of opportunities to play on there. One thing that both teams need to pay attention to is the strikes. Every time I see top level teams come onto this map, tripling strikes are everywhere all the time. They can capture the zone so fast. They're the best way to get in on this map. They're really the strat that these top level players have developed onto this map. You have to pay attention and who is able to keep their strikes at the ready to get the best of the strikes will be able to take the game. And right now, BTDX need to take the game. They are down 3-1. This is their last shot.
This is 100%. Absolutely 100%. They need this. If they don't get it, well, it's match point. And for them, they'd be realistically out of playoff contention.
Yep, and here it is. Time. We don't see much change in terms of compositions. The players know what they want to play. We'll see. And again, I'm so glad we get to see the decapitators, which Genie still give us the best part of the 10 gameplay, which is you can die to your own shield.
Oh, that is the best part of the 10 gameplay. I will tell you that.
That's the funniest.
It's well, what else do you play the 10 for? I forgot. Killing your own teammates. That's the best.
Oh
part.
yeah, that's the best part for sure. But Moonlight is going to take control over map right there. Simo has to say something, but it's not going to be enough. Basil still above the zone. He's going to paint above the strikes. That's not enough though. BTDX is already getting him back in there and getting a lot of paint on him.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Camo Tent to have a wall bubbler. That would be a ultimate killing your teammate moment. But you know what? As we are waiting on the next fight to break out, we will discuss that this Kraken is probably going to force people in a bad position. Simo does have to drop, jumping back in, and I thought they were going to try and go for the Kraken, but they realized that they aren't going to be able to farm that. Nolan, good job there.
Yeah, and right now Moonlight has established themselves, are looking to get that lead back. That lead isn't that big. And they are deep in there. Here comes the strike, but 2 players down onto BTDX. That's going to be the lead. And then some for Moonlight, who are still getting in forward. Oh! Genie, this is the opportunity for Bet to get in.
They have to. And also the fact that the zone got flipped by Simo in the back. That was it. And also, do you see how they're able to flush everyone out of Moonlight? Get everyone? Basil did not die. Yes, Basil keeps the charge. But Basil had to jump out before the jumps were able to come back in. Meaning that this fight here is going to be insane. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Full control by Bet, who are very much alive. And Delta getting an extra pick right there, looking to get a bit more. It is not stopping. 2 down onto Moonlight. BTDX simply awoken and getting more and more 2 down onto them, but it is so late. Here comes the strike. Mecha is throwing the strikes forward, delaying Moonlight's ability to go in. Moonlight needs to throw everything they have at the zone right now. Just a few more ticks and 3. Oh! The capture by Moonlight, keeping themselves in the game.
Simo gets 1. Simo's looking for a second. It did hit a tag, but they gotta watch out for this Kraken. This Kraken's gonna run out and beautiful. What? Okay, I thought the Gal had got 2 shots out there in that moment in time, but they didn't. Their teammate was able to follow that up. I was like, I wish my 90 worked like that.
I mean, Moonlight's
RNG at that range. Like, if you have the nozzle of a weapon inside of an Inkling, RNG is not factored in.
It is not. BTDX able to get the zone back, but they lost 2 players again. Moonlight is going to get a push right now. They're taking their time. They're activating the bubbler, forcing the strikes on the side of BTDX. Liga getting away from Simo and Delta, who are on fire right now, trying to get a bit more. And 2 down onto Moonlight again. BTDX really loving this map. This is why they're not going on Umami.
Oh, true. You know what? If you realize that you can take your opponent to a map that you're 100% comfortable and 100% confident in, that's the best kind of thing. They're making me eat my words and making me eat the big brain strat. And oh my goodness, that's another reason why Pencil's so strong. You think it's a free splat? No, it's still a strong weapon just on its own as long as it has its charge.
Yeah, but 2 down onto Moonlight again. The Kraken is not so dangerous when the rest of the team is down. Shadow trying to establish some ground. The wall is up, but BTDX is still painting that zone, keeping it, trying to get rid of their penalty. There's only 1 minute left, Genie, and Moonlight is not able to find their ground.
No, it's going to be so difficult, but the painter is gone from the side of BTDX. They've lost their decap, but that's okay. We know how much that weapon likes to go in. 3 down, and the cooler was not given. It means BTX will have a slower respawn, but they will have a jump back in.
Yep. Right now with 30 seconds, Moonlight needs to hold for the rest of the game if they want to get the victory, activating the Kraken, trying to delay the push, but the strikes are thrown at the zone. They're not enough to cap. Moonlight stays in control for a bit longer with 2 down onto BTDX. Moonlight are looking to get the comeback. They're going to need an incredible overtime if they want to win this one.
Strikes. They have 6 strikes at the that can be used by BTX. We need the splash to get those strikes online. We need Mecha to stay alive, but unfortunately they've lost their slosher, which means that they don't have 1 strike, and they are going to lose Mecha. No, Mecha stays alive. Mecha's able to launch these strikes, Pat. This could be it. This could be game. You have to stay alive, and they do. They do. They get control of that zone. My goodness, I was so worried when Delta fell, because I saw that Mecha was in the 90s when Delta fell. If you had 6 strikes on zone, nothing can outpaint that. Nothing can. But luckily, they were able to save it by getting the trades and meaning that Mecha was in a 2v2 scenario with their strikes and a splash amount of paint onto that zone. Oof.
BTDX are still in there. BTDX are not out of 20XX, but now they have to beat Moonlight on their own counter pick.
2 of them.
2 of them. And I mean, you called the clans. I'm not sure it's locked on yet, but I mean, it's going to be a rough one to beat Moonlight on their own counter pick. As we say that, I mean, Bet are showing how strong they can be, how fierce they can fight. And here comes Clan Blitz on Umami. They didn't block it. Here it comes on Clans.
Which means that Clan Blitz Inkblot is still available. It's still ready to go. So
no, it was game 1. It was game number 1. You can't go back to a map you've played before, so this is the last Clan Blitz we see tonight, whatever happens.
Really? We can't go to a museum?
Oh, museum? I thought you said Inkblot.
My brain said Inkblot. My brain said Inkblot when I knew it was museum.
Hey. Yeah, the last Clan Blitz would be on museum, and we can see it. In fact, we have to start thinking. And yeah, but first of all, before we get to the final game, if there is one, Moonlight very much want to end it here. They've shown how strong they can be on Clan Blitz, how well they can play on there. This is their mode. This is the mode they want to fight on, and this is on Umami. And on here, knowing Moonlight, they will go straight to the basket. We will not see any fight in mid. It will be under the basket of any team at all time.
Yes, I'm very ready to see what these teams pull out. It is a fight to the mid. It is a fight for the objective. It's almost like our nice little tricolor map. You want to fight mid early. You want to fight mid fast. You need to get pushed to the objective in the first 5 seconds. Because if you try and hold out too late, it's a little bit defenders advantageous. Salt spray rig. Pat doesn't know what salt spray rig is, and
I've never played on salt spray rig, and from what I've heard, it's fine.
Fine? Yeah, okay, buddy. There's a reason it's never come back in any game. Every single other map in Splatoon has come back. Urchin Underpass came into Mario Kart, bro. Saltwater Rig, it died. It died for a reason. Skip Pavilion was close, but it was not the same.
Well, here it is time for Umami Runes. Both teams trying to get some control. We'll see who is able to get the first push right now. 1 down on each side, 2 down on each side, 3 down onto Moonlight. BTDX has an extra player, are looking for the opportunity in. They have a few clams and Azuka at the ready. This could be the opportunity for them to get the first push.
Nolan able to stay alive, and the problem when you have a power clam in your hand is you're available to be seen by the opposing Zuka. That's exactly what we saw happen. It's
always. I mean,
a little bit of a hey, shoot. Oh my goodness, that Zuka wasn't supposed to get 2, but it did.
It did, and the Kraken is chasing the ball, was stopping whatever BTDX was trying to do with it. We see trade after trade, G. It is not stopping. Never team is really able to get the upper hand, as Simo is going to be punished before being able to get another splat.
Yeah, this is Gonna be a good opportunity, Pat. We gotta watch out. The big bubblers used defensively here. We're gonna have a Zuka online, but like you don't really want to use that into the bubbler because the bubbler will just kind of eat all of that value, and Simo comes out on top in the sword matchup. The brushing your teeth decapitator.
Yeah, and that sword fight was key. That would have been a way in
Hey,
for
yo.
Moonlight. Otherwise, right now, Simo finally punished, finally stopped, and hit a 2v2. Both teams are still looking at each other, waiting for the other team to make the extra mistake. We are at a standstill right now, Jenny.
Yeah, this honestly, I feel like it favors BTDX because it shows me that they've learned and improved. Because last time they were getting throttled on like in the neutral game, and right now they're able to stay. They're bending but not breaking, and they're waiting for that a double, a big double. The problem is that they need to get more, and they do get more, but they have left Basil alive, and the cooler means everyone else is back.
Everyone is here right now. 2 down onto BTDX. Moonlight are again trying to push forward, but they still don't have a ball at the ready. They're waiting for the right opportunity before making the ball. It looks like it's now with 2 down again. Simo stopping everything all the time.
Oh, just a little bit of delay and of the perfect amount, meaning that this ball has an opportunity to be stopped. Now that Omega has that big bubbler online, that's going to make its way into the basket. Moonlight, how far can you get this down? I would like them to see it get down into the like high 50s, but I don't think they're going to be able to. And that's just going to be Shadow who's back in mid.
Yeah, Moonlight, they took control of the basket area. They had the bubbler under the basket after opening it. But they forgot to bring more clams. They only have 3 extra clams added to the big one. And right now, BTDX are back into mid, back to trying to find a way in. And this time they have a pity clam. They have enough to get the lead. All they need is a way in.
Beautiful. Omega gets 1. Omega's looking to get 2, but they get punished from the side. Delta, great job. They're not going to be online. They're not going to be ready to launch these strikes anytime soon, but they should be able to launch at least some good firepower with the slosher onto that tarp area. I need to see them really get the Zuka. The Zuka plus Tri-Strike's combination needs to get good value. Opting to use it directly on that bubbler, and they go down.
And right now, Mecha able to survive, able to stay on the map. They need to get rid of Nolan, who's still around with the Kraken at the ready. The Kraken going on to the... Yep, that's the end of your Zuka, buddy.
Yeah, I would have opted just to shoot that Zuka straight in the air because it gets more value than just trying to fire it at an invincible special. Okay, yep, through the bubbler, yep,
When you poke your gun right through it, just enough to get the bullets in. Delta is going to get decapitated by the Zuka right there. That's another opportunity for Moonlight. And with just 30 seconds left, Genie, we've seen only a single break over the basket. And it's again Moonlight who are in position to go forward. They have 2 down. There's a Kraken. There's a few more clams. The ball is in, and that's a victory lap for Moonlight right now. Putting more and more clams 3 down onto BTDX. Just a few more seconds, and there is no stopping Moonlight right now. Getting the victory in that game. Overtimes, no.
No, yeah.
Yep.
I really liked how BTDX played that final game. Outside of the last 20 seconds, I am really proud of their accomplishments in being able to regroup after that first Columbus game on Scorch, where they got all their good looks were a compilation of about 5 seconds. That was all of their highlights on the Scorch Gorge win. This one, they played a much better game. Moonlight is just, in my opinion, the superior Columbus team. It's not even, I don't think it's my opinion, it's just fact.
Yeah. BTDX, they were patient, they were coordinated, they did the job right, they did what they needed to do all the time, but when it was time to prepare a push, to get that extra mile, to get that extra thing, Moonlight was ready to shut them down every time. Even when Moonlight had 3 players down, they were able to deny BTDX from getting near the basket. BTDX collected more clams than Moonlight during that whole game. Moonlight were always short on the clams. BTDX always had a ball on them, but that made them slower. That made them unable to push forward because there was a bracket onto their heads all the time. And that's why Moonlight gets to stay alive in the league. They need to keep winning if they want to make it to a playoff. They still have a shot at it.
Their shot is, assuming that Gru, who had a great showing, beats BTDX. That'll make us a 3-0 team and an 0-3 team, leaving the both 1-1s play against each other. Meaning that the Henlo Moonlight matchup will be a winner goes to playoffs situation. Similar to next week's matchup of Dat Kig versus Fluffy X Black Lotus.
Yep.
That is also a winner moves on. That is straight up a winner move on because Metro has the automatic bye due to Celeste dropping out.
Yep. And that is week 2 of 20XX. Remember, if you want to help us organize the best 20XX we can, if you want to pay these players a little bit, if you can give us to contribute to the prize pool on our Ko-Fi. We'd like to give big shout outs to our Ko-Fi supporters, Cuidado and Joel Marmalade notably, who are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much for your support. It's thanks to you that we're able to do that. But these awesome setup, this great stream overlay, all this talent playing the best games possible between the best teams we have in the West. It's all thanks to you, and thank you so much for helping us do that.
Yeah. With that, we can wrap up. We can wrap up week 2. We are going to be here, same place, same time next weekend for our final week of round robin, which we know has playoff implications, and you do not want to do that. But with that, let's shout ourselves out before we let everyone get back to Splatfest.
Yep. Thank you so much for having us. If you want to find me, I'm Pat or Tom. It's written on your screen right there. And Ginny, where can I find you?
You can find me at Genie7, GEENIE7 _ on Twitter, no underscore on all other socials. I'm looking forward to the end of Grandfest. And besides that, I will be. I did get a job at my school, so I will be commentating 3 times a week. So definitely, if you like other esports, definitely watch that. And we are gonna have some Splatoon action there, so don't worry. I'm not God. I'm still here.
Well, we're glad you are still here, and thank you so much to our streamer Brownie for doing a banger job today. And everybody working at Dapo and 20XX. It's incredible to be a part of this. And I guess we'll see you next week for the final game of groups.